Welcome to our very first episode of Troll in the Dungeon. At least that's what we in the entertainment business call a working title. I am your host, Stephen Gosensky. It is an awesome opportunity and privilege to speak to you this fine day. Before we get started into the main topic of the show today, I want to share something. This will be my first attempt at a podcast or vlog or whatever on my own. I have been a co-host for various other programs, so just bear with me as I work out the kinks. I will on occasion do a highlight or on whatever the project I am working on currently if I have something new to share. Just keep your eyes and ears open for that. I'll post some links in the description of these videos so that way you can check all that out as well. So, I'm a movie buff, in case you hadn't guessed. I thought I would start this program with giving you a sense of my taste in film, revealing my 3 favorite films of all time. So if I'm talking about, say, if I do a review of another film that has come out recently, you'll understand sort of where I'm coming from. We'll see how that goes. I will note that most of these films are a little bit older. The newest was released in 1990, so just think on that for a second. Okay, second's over. Get over it. First movie. The Hunt for Red October, released in 1990, starring Sean Connery, Alec Baldwin, and Scott Glenn. Based on a novel by Tom Clancy, this is the first of the Tom Clancy novels adapted to screen. Directed by John McTiernan, who also directed Die Hard, the greatest Christmas film of all time. I don't care what Bruce Willis says. John McTiernan says it's a Christmas film. The director is right. The plot for this film, in November of 1984, it's a period piece. Who'd have thunk it? The Soviet Union's best submarine captain, who's Marco Ramius, played by Sean Connery, has given command of their newest sub, violates orders and heads for the U.S. Is he trying to defect? Is he trying to start a war? These are all the questions that are running through both sides, both the Russians and the Americans. A CIA analyst, Jack Ryan, played by Alec Baldwin, is one of the few who believes that the captain is actually defective. This is the first incarnation of Jack Ryan on screen. We've had actors like Harrison Ford, Ben Affleck, Chris Pine, and of course in the Amazon series where he is played by John Krasinski. So this set the bar for future incarnations of this character. A big thing in any film is the cast of the movie. I mentioned the first 3 with Alec Baldwin, Sean Connery, and Scott Glenn. If you have good leads and if you have strong leads and strong supporting cast, it makes for a stronger film. It's enhanced. Think of a film like The Avengers. Yeah, you have your Robert Downey Jr.'s, you've got your Chris Evans, you got your Chris Hemsworths. Awesome. Great. We love those guys. But think about some of the supporting actors in that movie. Clark Gregg, Colby Smulders, Stellan Skarsgård. Would that film worked nearly as well? I say no. So we got supporting actors like Sam Neill in this movie from Jurassic Park. James Earl Jones. Yes, Darth Vader himself is in this movie. Stellan Skarsgård from Avengers, I mentioned him before. It just makes this film so much more enjoyable. This is personally probably my favorite performance of Sean Connery. Now I could go on this whole episode mentioning the wonderful performances in this film, but we don't have time to talk about that, so let's talk about something else. Let's talk about production design. What is production design? Well, production designers are the people who help establish the look for the film. They help the set department, the costumers, and the others get what the film needs to look like. I consider them unsung heroes because there's bad production design, you notice. There's good production design, you really don't notice because the film works so well together that it's just like, you know, the extra frosting. So if you like how a set looks, the costuming, the overall look of the movie, yeah, give a shout out to the production designers because they're the ones who made it happen. Now in this film, the main action takes place on not one, not two, but three different submarines. The Red October, the Dallas, which is commanded by Scott Glenn's character, and the Konovalov, which is commanded by Stellan Skarsgård's character. It's not as featured, but it's there. As a filmmaker, you have a really big challenge. How do you help your audiences tell each boat apart? Now, audiences are not always stupid, but you do want to give them a helping hand. You cannot rely on characters because there are times that characters go over to other boats, so you cannot rely on that. So how did these filmmakers, with their production designers, figure out a way around this problem? Lighting. They had different lighting schemes for each boat. Red October had blue lighting. Dallas had red. Konovalov had green. It was subtle, but it made a huge difference. Now if you watch this movie, now you're like, oh, I'm going to look for that. So, glad I could help you there. As an audience member, I didn't become too confused about which boat they were on. It was easy to follow, but it was something small, and it made a huge difference. Tom Clancy's work got to transfer into multiple films afterwards, and a TV series, and there's some films possibly rumored to be coming out, not before too long. So, and video games, of course. So, check out this movie. If you love your Tom Clancy, Rainbow Six, and all that stuff, check out this movie. Okay, second movie, Psycho, which came out in 1960. Wow, I like these even-numbered years for films. What's up with that? Starring Anthony Perkins, Janet Leigh. Yes, Janet Leigh, Jamie Lee Curtis's mother. Based on a novel by Robert Bloch, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. A Phoenix secretary, Janet Leigh, embezzles $40,000 from her employer's client, goes on the run, and checks into a remote hotel run by a young man, Anthony Perkins, under the domination of his mother. The master of suspense! Alfred Hitchcock delivered a true delight of a film that caused some stirrings when it came out in 1960. Walt Disney himself refused to let him film at Disneyland because he thought the film was, in his words, disgusting. This was the first American film to show a toilet flushing on screen. It's kind of goofy, but hey, fun little trivial fact. Paramount Pictures gave Hitchcock a very small budget with which to work because of their distaste with the source material. They also deferred most of the box office take to Hitchcock, thinking that the movie would fail. When it became a sleeper hit, Hitchcock made a fortune. He didn't take his usual $250,000 salary in lieu of 60% of the movie's gross. How much was that, you ask? $15 million. Hitchcock shot the movie in black and white because he thought it would be too gory in color. He also wondered if many bad, inexpensively made black and white B-movies did so well in the box office, what would happen if a really good, inexpensively made black and white movie was made? The movie, in large part, was made because Hitchcock was fed up with the big-budget, star-studded movies he had recently been making, and wanted to experiment with the more efficient, smaller-scale style of television filmmaking. He used a crew from his television series Alfred Hitchcock Presents to save time and money. The smaller budget move made the movie the highest grossing of his entire career. Why do I throw all this trivia at you? I'm just showing why I appreciate the work that went into the film. It was a nitty-gritty little thing that is now considered one of the great classics of today. The infamous shower sequence and the music is forever burned into our pop culture. People who haven't seen the movie know that scene extremely well, because they've seen it 30,000 times played in various venues. But they've never seen the movie. I admit, I was one of those people. I watched this movie for the first time on my laptop in my apartment in Los Angeles, and I didn't go to sleep for quite a while. It did its job. So if you're wanting a similar experience, go for it. Now on to the final film. Finally, we have an odd-numbered release date year for The Day the Earth Stood Still, which came out in 1951. Starring Michael Rennie and Patricia Neal, based upon the short story by Harry Bates, The Day the Earth Stood Still, directed by Robert Wise. An alien lands on Cold War-era Earth just after the end of World War II. He wishes to tell representatives of all nations an important message. However, communication turns out to be difficult. So after learning something about the natives, Klaatu, played by Michael Rennie, the alien, decides on an alternative approach. Klaatu had a robot companion named Gort, who was played by a man who was 7'4". Quite intimidating fellow. Weird coincidence. I didn't even think about this when I was first enjoying these films, but Bernard Herrmann scored or composed the music for this film as well as the film Psycho. Maybe I just like his music, I don't know. Or maybe he just knows how to pick a good project and score them really well. No one can say for sure. Most films of this era were showing aliens coming in to threaten Earth and destroy it, and they're just being nasty and hostile and just want to be the intergalactic badasses. And just wipe out, meager might of Earth. You never know. But that's not how this film approached the conflict. The main antagonist of this movie weren't the aliens. It was humanity's own arrogance and inability to work together, to get past our own petty differences, was the antagonist. It wasn't any one person or singular individual who was the antagonist. It was a concept. This film also showed individuals having the potential to save the human race. This is my dad's favorite movie. We have never discussed why he loves it so. I believe that part of my love of this film is shared in the love of my father. He's the one who got me into this insanity of filmmaking anyway. So maybe I love it because it's part of my origin story as a filmmaker. I can't say for sure. But definitely check out these films. You might learn something. You might learn something about acting. You might learn something about directing. You might learn something about writing. You might learn something about composers. You might learn something about other visual things. Maybe you'll learn something about yourself. While we wrap up this episode, some last-minute housekeeping. If you have some suggestions for my next show, comment down below in the comment section. I'll take them into consideration. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. May even like this video. And if you sort of agree with something I say, you can like it. And if you completely hate my guts, you can dislike it as well. Either way, any publicity is good publicity. At least that's what they say. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I've never been in public. Also, you may or may not know that I am working on a fictional web series, and we are needing funding to help us finish up our first season. There is a teaser for it on the Altogether Productions channel. I'll happily put the link to it in the description of this video for you. I'll also put the link to the crowdfunding campaign in the description of this video. So you can check all that out and see what we're about. So this is Steven Gosensky signing off. Be bold, be brave, be courageous, and Klaatu Barada Nikto.